Hey everybody, West here. I wanted to go over the Skywalker project and the mods that I've done, just kind of briefly discussing those. So I'll get right into it. So pretty much a stock build kit. The carbon fiber tubes for the boom and the main wing are the only reinforcement, carbon fiber reinforcement in the wing and or the fuse. So that's stock. In addition to, on the wing and the boom, tail boom, I've used not carbon fiber, but fiberglass box tape to stiffen. So that really is the only change to stiffening the airframe. There are other changes that I've made, or accessories to, not any mods to the actual fuselage or wing. Well, I take it back. The wing does have a mod to it. It's a one-piece wing. It's not made to come apart. The typical hatch access door on the side is a mod to the fuse. And then aside from that, there's a landing gear attachment in the front for the mains. And there's lighting back here in the tail, and those holes, LED lights project light out this direction. It's white light, and also this direction over here. So those holes are basically windows to the LED lights. And then there are LED lights under the wing, right there. Behind that window, there's a three LED light. There, currently running aileron only, aileron rudder elevator, and wingtip lights over here. I've got green on the right, red on the left, white in the tail, and I'll have a headlamp that I'm going to bury in the nose here. Basically take a small LED flashlight, a multi-cluster LED flashlight, and put the LED lens section right up in the nose. Just bury it right in the foam, flush there. Put a plastic lens over it, and then wire it back to the battery. And there'll be a central battery that all of them wire into. I'll have to make a custom Y cable, or tri-Y cable. So the camera I'm using right now is the Bloggy, which sits up here on the deck. You've seen in some of the flight videos already. It has a tilt function here with a servo on the side, and this servo tilt and this servo for tilt are wired together back here in the airframe. It's pretty simple and straightforward. So I'll get into the real tricky stuff. Notice there's no rubber bands on here, and I don't fly with rubber bands. And so maybe some of you are wondering, well, how the heck did I do that? So I'll get into that here real shortly. So what I'll do is I'll start with this front hatch, the flight deck. So I have an access screw here, single access screw, and if I turn the camera just so, I can get to that screw and lift the deck. And this is almost the stock position of that screw and hold down. Almost, not quite. It's actually a little further forward than the original location, but all I did was modify the foam inside and move that hold down block further forward. You can see the original hole is aft, and the new hole is forward. So I moved it forward about a ½ an inch, give or take, just for ease of access and so forth. Probably could have stayed with the original, but okay. So this is the front video pod. This is a lightweight plywood that I picked up at Home Depot. That tongue out the back is a tab that runs up inside of here. There's a slot between, and it's also the slot that the wing hold down works off of as well. Okay, so the back end is held down by basically that bulkhead, top of bulkhead inside there, and then the single screw in the front. So this plywood, I just made up a bunch of patterns. I made a pattern for this back bulkhead plate, the bottom plate, and then I also made the shoulder. This is also in a pattern, cardboard pattern, cardstock pattern, I should say. And then the camera arm or extension here to cantilever out here in front is held down by this screw through and a blind nut on the underside. I wanted the camera eyes as far forward as possible for the look down reason, and I can get greater than 45 degrees look down with that. And so there's also a pan servo underneath, tilt servo here for the high definition cam via this arm, and tilt up here. This is a camera from Security Camera 2000, whom I've grown to really appreciate that company. They've done some really remarkable things. Number one is great customer service, very prompt. I have zero complaints with Security Camera 2000. I've always been pleased with their equipment, and they do come with instructions. And it's got minor Chinglish going on in it, so it's actually easy to understand the deal. So I've purchased both video cameras, CCD cameras that is, and transmitter receiver sets, and have been very pleased with their stuff. Okay, let's see. So the inside, pretty much there isn't any ballast or battery business up in the front here. The camera, this unit altogether, is enough balance forward, and my main battery pack pushes all the way to the back. There's a step up bulkhead back there. If you're familiar with the Skywalker interior, there's a flat deck that runs all the way to the back, steps up a little bit, and then goes back a little further. Well, that main battery of mine, the pair of batteries, is pushed all the way to that back and is velcroed down on a deck inside. So that's one of the other things that I've done, is that during the split assembly is that I made templates of everything to put in a solid wood deck on the bottom. I then taped it on the top deck so that all of my velcros will stick real nicely to it for a long period of time. Otherwise, when you put velcro to plywoods, it doesn't last forever. It does last a while. Just put a clear box tape over it. You could probably take a heat, like a low temp iron, or you can use a blow dryer to heat it up and press it in, really press it in hard. The glue will soften a little bit with that heat and then bond better to the plywood. And then I run 2 strips of the pile velcro on the bottom. The hook is on the battery, and it really doesn't matter. So so I've got video all the way up to the front here. Video is connected to the camera. I have a power cable wired into the video feed, so we'll get a separate battery here for video feed, and it's completely isolated from the controls and from the speed controller. I'm going to invest in a smaller flight pack, video flight pack. Right now all I have is 2200s, and I would like to pick up something smaller, a 700 milliamps, probably plenty, and then go from there. Okay, so let me put this back in. Just slips in. Screw might be a little longer than it needs to be. Yeah, that's it. So the video flight deck there, or pod, however you want to call it, just rests on the flat, stopped at the curve, started here at this flat. That bulkhead there, it's the exact same width as the interior. It really doesn't provide any sidewall support or anything. It just sits on top. That's it. Okay, so then on to the wings. So this is going to be a little tricky to show you, but how the wings are held on are by 2 pins. They're carbon fiber, 1/4 by, actually they're like 3/16 by 3/32 carbon fiber bar, and then I just cut and trim them. So it's a pin. It's a pin that runs through the side here, and there's 2 of them. And those pins engage a hold down inside. So I'll have to get that off. This is going to be tricky here. So literally just lift off. And it's a little bit snug, which is good, right? Okay, so here's the wing lifted but not disconnected yet. So I have the FrSky receiver, and the antennas going up through the wing shoulders, through tubes, push rod tubes, and then all my wiring goes there. Well, Ruby will then sit down inside on that deck, velcroed down. In fact, I've made ready already for Ruby to sit there, and then all of these servo connections right here will then go through Ruby and not the FrSky. The FrSky will have only one connection to the RSSI, actually 2 connections to RSSI and power CCM, I think it is. I'm not sure what those 2 cables are called. I have to review that. But anyway, that's the way Ruby communicates with FrSky receiver here via just 2 connects, which will make this a lot easier up here. This bundle of red and black is a wide power source for the LED lights, and when I uncoil that and run it down into the fuse, I'll connect via a 3-way Y to a battery. Now the switches for the, while I'm on it, the switches for the LEDs are actually at each location. I found these little, they're called emergency flashers that you might provide for, say, a clip onto a shirt or a jacket or something on your back for riding a bicycle or whatever in town. And it's a push button, so touching these 2 wires together, I'll probably put in some little micro switch or whatever up here, but right now just touching these 2 wires together, once the power is connected, connects the circuit, and the first light that comes on is a slow strobe, and then another touch is a fast strobe, so flashers, right? And then the third touch is a solid light. So I'll be using solid red here, solid green over there on the right wingtip, and in the back, and there's a wire set back there for a switch, is the back will be a high fast strobe for markers. And then the nose, I'll put in a separate switch for that, and that's basically on off. So I'll work on a power source, and it's a 3-point something or other volt system, these little flashers. Cost me $2.50 at the local hardware store, and they're reddish, like have a red prismatic cover on it, and 2 AA batteries in it, and is about the size of a like a pager, give or take. And well, I was able to just use the circuitry, the circuit boards, and wire them in myself. So I thought that was pretty amazing, pretty cool. I think that the brightness may be an issue. I have not tested it at night out at distance, so I'll get it out on the runway out there at night on a dark night, and see if I can discern left, right, and tail and all that. So anyway, so back to the wing shoulders here. So I'm going to cut to removal of the FR Sky, and that's how I get the wing off. So this is, so I unvelcro or dismount the FR Sky and disconnect one wire, and then the wing is free. Okay, so the FR Sky module there is then disconnected from the bottom of the wing, and the red, yellow, black wire is the aileron set. And there's the reinforcement tape on the bottom of the wing, runs out to the tip, reinforces the front and leading edges, I should say wing tips and so forth, on both ends. So I'll set this aside. Oh, and the motor house for cover. I kind of like that streamlined look. It's just doubled cardstock, and then some tape over it and so forth, and then I put the that vinyl sticker. I have some vinyl sticker sheet that I use for a few things, and that's that. Alright, so then under the wings, so in this upper compartment, there would be normally a foam. This styrofoam went all the way across, and was a deck stock in the fuselage. And then what I've done is I've taken that that plywood stock and I've glued it up underneath that original position, which is a flat area. Some modification there to make that a little bit longer towards the back, the plywood. And then I also have guides and a bulkhead reinforcement and guides, and then that slot right there and back here is what these two connectors go through. Okay, so you can see the pinhole there on the bottom left of that tab, and these bars go down into the slots there in the shoulder, and the pin runs through and is captured underneath the that plywood subdeck inside there. That's how that worked. Okay, over here I've got a separate BEC. BEC. This is a 5-volt 10 amp unit that I picked up. Alright, so control wires and so forth are coming up through. I've got them labeled, obviously. Ruby will sit, and Ruby, if you're not familiar, is an autopilot system or flight stabilization or an assist system that has a return to home function and a few other things going on with it, and it's got some great expandability. Jim Hall at You There Ruby is working on an OSD system right now that just basically plug and plays right into it, interfaces with it. It's module expandable, so you can multi-layer modules on top of it, or digress and take off some, depending on what your mission needs are. Okay, so that's the upper area right here. So I have a plywood deck in here. I have a plywood deck inside.